Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that brings you into the essence of the automobile. Today, we're joined by the great Robin Warner from the seat of the 2020 Porsche 718 Boxster GTS. And we're going to talk more about that car in just a minute. But you can check it out on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And also feel free to head over to the Facebook page where you can, like, subscribe, and get all of the great Autoweek content that we serve daily. And like I said before we start talking about this Porsche, we have to pay the bills. Our friends at Road & Trek have some big news to share. The premium lifestyle magazine for the automotive enthusiast is now fully loaded. Become a member of the Trek Club and receive 6 supersized double issues a year, plus access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/join. That's roadandtrack.com/JOIN. And Robin, tell me about this Porsche.
It is a two-door, two-seat roadster made by a company headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany called Porsche. And it is the GTS version. And what is beautiful about the 718 Boxster GTS is that it does not have a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but a 4-liter flat 6 naturally aspirated engine that makes a splendid 394 horsepower and 309 pound-feet of torque. And it does so just by revving to a nice and high 7,800 RPM. And you get to those revs and keep moving by shifting on your own. It is a beautiful, wonderful 6-speed manual transmissions with 1, 2, 3 pedals to play with down in the footwell. And it is one of the most beautiful driving cars sold today.
That actually sounds great. But you, so dutifully, hopped out of the car, which I know was probably a challenge because it is so much fun to drive, to record a little walk around as though it were in your driveway and you're explaining what it is to the listener. We are going to jump to that right now.
So I am walking around a 2020 Porsche 718 Boxster GTS, a 2-door, 2-seat roadster that just has all the right proportions and elements that just switch on all the senses of a proper enthusiast, a proper car nerd. And this one in particular is beautiful to look at. This car just looks low and elemental and purposeful and shows just how much importance is placed on the value of the drive. Now, it's visually speaking. We're going to have to go drive it in a second to see if that's actually the case. But, boy, it's hard to think that a Porsche Boxster with a 4-liter naturally aspirated, horizontally opposed, 394 horsepower, flat 6 is going to disappoint. Yes, that's right. It is both horizontally opposed and flat, this engine. Anyway, I'm very much looking forward to driving it, and I like looking at it too.
And we are looking forward to getting to where you drive it. But a few questions, Mr. Warner. So in the hierarchy of the Boxsters, where does a GTS stand and what does it get me? Is it as aggressive as a Cayman GT4, or is it like the entry level? Where does it fall?
Quite high up. This is far from your base. I mean, this Porsche Boxsters start under 60 grand if you go base. And this one starts for not $100,000, but not far from it. We're looking at the price right now, scrolling, right around 90 grand to start. And then, of course, this particular car was loaded up to cost $116,430. Now, this is heavily loaded up. You could certainly do without the heated steering wheel. You could certainly do without all these different things. Man, I mean, just the number of options. I'm looking at 20 different things. The stuff all adds up. I don't think I need sun visors in race text, for example.
Well, maybe you don't.
Right. I don't think I need, I definitely don't need lane change assist. And things like that. The LED headlights with Porsche Dynamic Light System Plus, that was nice to have, but I don't know if I need that either. And truthfully, for the Boxster, for a car like this, I'm not sure you need the $7,500 ceramic brakes either. Point being, getting one of these close to 100K would be pretty simple. But we're still talking about six figures here. This is top of the line when it comes to the 718 Boxster.
So just for to do the math really fast, that's almost 4 Mazda MX-5s. What differentiates this albeit beautiful, Boxster from like a Mazda, a more affordable Mazda Miata?
Well, there's a horsepower factor here. I'm pretty sure the Mazda Miata does not quite reach 182 miles an hour. And I'm pretty sure the Mazda takes more than 4.3 seconds to reach the first 60 miles an hour. And so there's just the straight performance thing. And let's just be blunt about it. Mazdas don't have beautiful leather stitching like the Porsche does. But what you're talking about are actually what's brilliant about this Boxster is how similar it is to the Mazda. Mazda Miatas, MX-5s, are one of the best driving cars out there. And that's the case because there's not much extra other than the things you need to just have a wonderful driving experience. And a lot of emphasis is put on chassis balance and just that real right combination of firm ride but still compliant over bumps, and good communication through the steering wheel, through the seats of where the car's attitude is, and having good feel of the road from the car. And the Miata does that brilliantly. And the Porsche does that just a little bit more brilliantly at a higher performance level. And this 718 Boxster does two things. It raises the performance level even further, and it gives even more feel than the typical 718 does.
Which is great for those that love to, drive, which I think is everyone here present, listening, and talking. But more importantly, speaking of driving, Mr. Warner, you had, I know like this is a very punishing job sometimes, but you had to drive this thing. I mean, somebody's got to do it ultimately.
Yeah. I grabbed the short straw again, man. Just keeps happening.
It just keeps happening. But we're going to go to you driving the car right now.
But here we are, just crawling along and in first gear. And then all of a sudden, you give a little throttle. It's so mechanical, and it's such a nice linear buildup of power, and the shifts happen because I'm shifting. I have a clutch pedal and a manual transmission. It's so ridiculous that alone is novel, but in a way it kind of is. And that's not as true when you're in a Porsche as it is in the greater scheme of things, but man, they're getting harder to come by, and it's so nice that in addition to being a manual transmission, this is a very easy to engage, smooth acting manual transmission. It's an absolute pleasure to row through the gears in this car. On top of that, I've got a faux suede steering wheel wrap, and that same faux suede is on the shifter, so you have nice, good grip. The steering wheel itself is a good fat rim, and the feel of the steering is about as good as you can get in this day and age in terms of getting some feedback from the wheel, and of course it's precise, and the Porsches are always really good at giving you feedback of what the car is up to when you're going through a corner. The seats are very comfortable, very supportive, and to top it all off, this car is mighty neutral. I was going through a sweeping corner nice and briskly, and the rear end was losing traction before the front. It was glorious, and you just gotta absolutely love and respect this car for what it can do, what it's capable of, and the feeling it gives you as it's doing it all.
like, on top of the fact that it's also super quick. I mean, 0 to 60 in not much over 4 seconds. Top speed of 182 miles an hour. This is a cloth top car that we're talking about that's doing that. And this is also the 718, which is, if you don't include the SUVs, the cheapest car Porsche makes. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, this is not the cheapest version of the cheapest car Porsche makes. I readily admit that part. But, hey, not the point. That's not the point. Also, of course, the brakes are brilliant. And this car is just a joy to drive. And that's the long and short of it. And I'm going to keep driving it. Yeah, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going.
If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road & Track for kids ages 6 to 10 every other month. A box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now and receive the all-new Need for Speed box and enter code AUTOWEEK. That's, of course, AUTOWEEK for 10% off an annual subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com. That's rtcrew.com and use the code AUTOWEEK. And it's said that Mr. Warner is still driving that car today.
That's right. That's right. I turned it on. I turned it on to silent mode. Not many people know that I did. It has a silent, sounds like you're sitting at a desk mode. I'm just doing that right now. I stopped for gas, and that's it.
I love it. But so on a quick spin, we try to get to the essence of the automobile. We try to get to why this thing exists. What makes it really special with so many cars? Like I talked about the Miata, or even going out and buying a Lotus Elan, or going and buying a 550 Spider, which I know is bargain basement because it's so old compared to this newfangled Boxster.
Yeah, go find one in a junkyard, right?
I found 10 on Craigslist just today. No, I'm
Dime
kidding.
a dozen those things.
Dime a dozen. $1,000 a piece, cheap. No, so Robin, what makes this 718 Boxster GTS so special?
This car, I mean, there's cars where that gets a little complicated to think about. When you and I talked about the Mazda 6 not that long ago, that's kind of like a nuanced essence, right? The GTS Boxster is very simple. This is pure driving pleasure. You buy this one because you like driving and because this delivers the experience of driving better than most any car out there. Now, obviously, this is something for the privileged few among us, and I think that's an important caveat to make. But for those privileged few, if you want something that just rewards the drive, this isn't a track rat car. This isn't, it could function as that, but where this really stands out is just out on the open road, experiencing the landscape around you, driving into the horizon, and having those romantic thoughts about what the world could be and should be. This is the car that delivers that experience better than just about anything else on the planet.
Well, Mr. Warner, I couldn't agree more. And quite frankly, I would love to experience that too. And I think we all would, but thank you for experiencing it for us. And man, I'm going to go to a Porsche dealership and have them deny me on my because of my credit score. But until then, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for enjoying this with us. Thank you for doing all that you do, listeners. We really appreciate it. But please go wherever you get this bad boy. Drop a 5-star. Give us a short review. Let us know how we're doing, what you want to hear in the future. But again, I can't stress this enough. Without your listenership, none of this could happen. So thank you sincerely for listening.